Hey y'all, it's Alicia. Welcome back to my channel. I know we have a lot of new people and it must seem overwhelming for you these past week and a half for a number of reasons. The epic unboxings, but it's also really exciting because you get to see everybody's work and I think that's paramount. Forgive me for not being on yesterday, folks, but it has been a very hectic week and y'all know I was adjusting. But more than that, I wanted to make sure that I got through all of everyone's packages. So my priority was doing the unboxing and the unboxing videos. And that just meant that I needed to take a day off from doing anything else. I'm always caught up on your videos because I watch them while I craft, I watch them while I work, I watch them all the time. Like Lily, they're constantly on. But the internet glitch has made that pretty much impossible to do simultaneously. So for the first time in a long time, I'm behind on videos and it kills me because I'll get a text that'll be like, hey, did you see what happened with this? And I'm like, no! The upside is at least I've been keeping up better with comments because I never want you to feel that I'm not hearing you or that I'm not being responsive. But I did take yesterday off because I wanted to do a ton of unboxing videos. And because I really want to honor each creation, they take me a really, really long time to do. But I feel so honored. I cannot wait for you to see the next 2 or 3 days of the unboxings. I think it's going to blow you away. And you're going to see from people who you don't always see from, and I think you're going to be shocked at their creations. We have some incredible beauties coming up that I have to tell you, I was blown away. And I want to share something that I think is really important. You know, several notes said, it's a little scary sometimes to send in to you because when you're so picky, it's true. I'm picky about heft of paper and construction because I didn't start off making that way. It was by getting pieces from Carmen and Sabrina that I started to think a lot more about heft and paper quality. But the other reason people have been nervous is they know that people like Ara, the Paper Treasury, and Lily, and Alicia, and Jellybean, and Donna, and I can keep going, Soleil, right? All of these amazing makers, and Anna Silva, Ephemeris, and all of these people that we sort of deem to be superstars. That's the only way to put it. They're superstars. And they're sending in things, and so they see those things and they think, oh no. Well, look at Anna Stratus's work. I gotta tell you, I looked at that Secret Santa box, and I'm still not over it, Anna. I'm still not over it. Not only is every item so thoughtful and so beautiful, but your construction, makes me feel like I just started kindergarten. I'm not kidding. So I guess my point is this. I've gotten a lot of notes that said I was nervous about sending in because of people like Ara and Lily and Alicia and, and all the superstars, right? Almost all of them. And a lot of people were like, it makes me scared. But then I opened one of the things that someone sent who wrote me that note, and it's one of the best things I've ever seen. I'm not kidding. And I was like, what? You were nervous and you made this? So here's what I want to say. One is we all start somewhere. When I first started, I sent Lily off this horrendous box. I'm not kidding. That's how we learn. I did my best, and I wanted to give it to her because she was so inspiring, right? That's why I did it. But guys, it was horrible. But that's how you start. We all learn we have to start somewhere. And then with every project, I got better. And when Carmen was like, hey girl, want to do a swap? And she's an expert level crafter, I was like, I better do better. So I started watching lots of videos and prototyping. So a lot of you are like, isn't prototyping a lot of work? Yeah, it is. But here's why we teach it at Art and Design School. When you prototype, you figure out all the problems. You figure out all the glitches. And you may make different ones when you actually make it. And that has happened to me just in the last week. I have to tell you where I prototyped something and it worked out fine. And when I went to make it, I hit a different problem altogether that didn't happen in the prototyping. But I'll tell you what it does prevent. Things like what happened that one week where I was with my mom and I couldn't prototype for that amazing box I made for Susan Tootsie Tucker for Spooktacular Halloween. And that glue just would not adhere. So by prototyping, you avoid a lot of mistakes. Now, sometimes your prototype turns out really nicely and you're like, hey, look at that. And then I'll save that and send it to a subscriber because it was actually good. Sometimes though, the prototype is so awful, I have to do it 2 or 3 more times. But if I really want to make as beautifully as Anna Stratus, or I want to make half as good as Lily, because that's flawless. Or I want to be able to do a lot of what I'm opening, right? When I looked at Soleil's book, or Donna Dreams' journal, right? Or Anna Silva, or Lanny's. Oh, folks, that makes me think, if I have to prototype 5 times, it's worth it. So I guess what I'm saying is, we're all at different places in this journey. Some people have been crafting since they're 3 years old. You know, a lot of people in the South, this is what people did, right? And some people have been doing art their whole lives. And some people are brand new to this. You can't expect to have 25 years of craft experience when you've only been at this 6 months. And here's the other reality. We're all good at some things and not good at others. Tamika Scrapler World says she and charms will never get along. Okay, so I make a joke out of it, but the truth is, charming anything for me is like occupational therapy. All joking aside right now. My hands don't work that well, believe it or not. They work well enough, I'm not complaining. They work well enough to make art, and that's all I'm grateful for. They work well enough to go bowling. They work well enough to cook supper. I'm happy about that. They work well enough to cartoon on your envelopes. But after I had that stroke paralysis thing for my disease, they didn't quite work the same way anymore. So when I want to do like a chunky charm or a stick pin, it's an unholy mess. My husband will tell you that the reason he hates sequins is because my hands don't work well, and when I'm working with them, they spill everywhere. And they do. There's sequins everywhere. Well, charms are worse. They're worse for me because they're teeny tiny, and those bead caps are teeny tiny, and I don't have a lot of dexterity between them. So me and charms are never going to be best friends. I'm like tenacious enough that I struggle through, and I'm determined enough to make them that I will eventually make them. Will I ever make them regularly? Probably not. It's too hard. It's too hard for me with the issues I have. But there are other things I am good at. I can make a paper rosette in my sleep. You know, I can do other things well, and hopefully one day I'll be a good bookmaker. We'll see. You know, it's a little bit like baking, folks. It's the same thing with cartonage. I love handmade boxes. Why don't I do any cartonage? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because, you know, a baker knows that you can't alter a recipe. If you do, things are not going to turn out. Baking is like art meets science. Cartonage is art meets science. It's like product design. And we teach that. It's art meets science. The measurements must be exact for it to work. Okay? I like things that leave me open to doing what I'm inspired to do. So I love to cook, and I'm a good cook because I experiment a lot, and I tested all different flavor notes, and I'm good at combining a palette, but I don't like to be restrained by really tough rules. And I feel some parts of crafting are like that, right? So if cartonage is probably not for me. Too many measurements. You know that amazing box that Susan Tootsie Tucker, well, if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to. She made this incredible embellishment box, which Sabrina has made and Tamika has a great tutorial for. Folks, that thing will not work if the measurements are not perfect. And there is very little room for flexibility in that design. So I'm less likely to make something like that because I want to experiment, right? I'm a little bit like Misty. I love mixed media. This is why, despite how much more work it is, I sometimes really love what the shabby and vintage makers do because they can both do the cartonage, but they also distress and alter and shred and do all these wonderful things to projects that give them texture. I love all that. I like getting my hands dirty. You know, my fancy nails are currently covered in all different kinds of like adhesive that won't come off because it's not regular glue gun adhesive. It's like fancy adhesive. And so I don't care. Like, I love doing that stuff. So I may not always be perfect at it, but I love it. I guess my point is, not every part of making is for everybody. There's some things we're going to be good at and some things we're going to be less good at. If you love it, it doesn't matter. Like, there's some things I like making I'm not so good at, but I love making them, so I'm just going to keep making them. Because what does it matter if it gives you joy and if it comes from the heart? And so many of you recently have reminded all of us that the whole thing about homemade is that the beauty's in the imperfections. Leonard Cohen has this great expression about, you know, the beauty is where the cracks let the light come in. And it's true. That's where the beauty is. So I may never create work that looks store-bought because I'm too hoploppy for sure for that. But what I make is from the heart when I make it. Or I'm inspired and I want to do something for somebody to make their day better. And so it might not look like it came from papyrus or better, but it's made with the intention of good feelings. And I think as long as each of us are doing that, then Isn't that really at the core of what this is really about? And clearly, everything I have unboxed, every single thing without exception, had so much heart in it. And for me, that, like, you'll see there've been a couple times this week where I've been teary even, because the work and the consideration was just so incredible that it made me cry. So how did I get on this long ramble? Because I got so many notes in these wonderful boxes that said, it's a little intimidating. I hope it's never intimidating. I hope this channel is always about empowering you to find your artistic voice. I hope it's always about you feeling good about what you make. I hope you are always inspired and always cheered on. And I hope every single person here just stands up and applauds you for taking the time and the creative energy and love to create anything. And that's what your girl has to say today. Now, the next few days, you're going to have a whole lot of unboxings to watch. Might be a little intense because I blew through a lot. And I am going to pre-record Saturday's videos for the collabs and also just for, hey, how are ya? Because your girl's going to be on a plane back to Canada for her mama's operation. So Saturday's going to be a rough day. So forgive me about the pre-recording. It just is the best way to handle it. And yeah, that's the end of that long chat, 11-minute chat. I hope whatever you're doing today, I hope it is something so wonderful. It's already dark here at 4 o'clock. I don't know what's going on. It's dark so early here that I often think it's like 7. But I hope whatever you did today or you're doing today, that it gives you joy. I hope if you were working, it wasn't too stressful for you. I hope that you had an easier day. We are in the holiday season, which means we have parties, which are wonderful, or drop-ins and that kind of thing. But it's also stressful. So make sure to take real good care of yourself. My amazing neighbor upstairs came by yesterday with a really warm sweatshirt for me because he saw me wandering around and he was worried that I wasn't dressed warmly enough for my illness. I told you, I live in the most amazing building. Those of you who are from Lanny, Brooklyn, y'all know what I mean. When you live in an old school Brooklyn building, it's like living with a family. And I feel very blessed each and every day to be here. I do. And I feel very blessed to have each of you. You know, my husband today was like, are you going to finish all these before we go? And it's like, I think so. But I was also saying to him how fortunate and blessed I am to have all these packages to open, all these beautiful items to look at. Really, and to study. Lily was teasing me last night. She was saying, I know you're going to study them all. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm already studying several of them and making notes. Oh yes, and making notes. That's a whole other gift. We're inspired. We have the gift of joy of watching it. And we're learning a whole lot. Although I think for a couple of them we need tutorials because some of them are really well constructed. And I'm like, how did that happen? You know, I'm going to be requesting a few tutorials, I think. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for spending some time with me. I know I look less tired in this. Some of the videos I look really tired. That's after a whole day of working really hard. Just ignore the way I look. Just ignore it. It's just until I adjust back, sometimes I'm going to look pretty horrific. Let that go. And I'm sure by the time I get to Florida, get my hair cut, have some time to relax, you'll be looking at a less tired looking girl. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye for now.